And now it's my privilege to introduce Alicia Ouellette, Albany Law School's 18th President and Dean, for the 3rd annual State of the School Address.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Jeff, and thank you all for joining us today. In an ordinary year, I would start this address by giving a single-word description of the state of the school, but nothing about this year is ordinary. The fact is that the state of the school is complicated. Everything is different. We are challenged and strong and resilient and struggling and exhausted and thriving all at the same time. As you all know, the law school had to shut down in-person classes and move to fully remote operations last March. Doing so was hard on our faculty, students, and staff. People were isolated and displaced. Faculty who have never embraced technology were forced to learn and use new platforms with almost no notice. Students who thrive on in-person interactions with professors and classmates had to take classes through a computer screen. Staff members had to convert student services, office operations, wellness programs, alumni events, and admission efforts into online operations. I am proud of how our community responded to these challenges. Faculty, staff, students went into overdrive, creatively reinventing our law school, caring for one another and problem solving. And we learned. We learned that most of our students and faculty strongly prefer in-person classes, but we also learned about each other's vulnerabilities, medical and family issues that made it impossible or unsafe for us to return to campus during the pandemic. So, as we came to understand that the virus was going to be with us for a long time, we got to work planning for a fall semester that would meet people where they are. We planned for flexibility, allowing those students and those faculty who are able to teach and learn in person on campus to do so, while at the same time allowing those students and faculty who need to learn or teach remotely to do so as needed or throughout the semester. Implementing the plan was an enormous lift. To make the flexible model work, we equipped classrooms with cameras, microphones, screens, and software. Our instructional technologists, informational technology professionals, and associate deans trained faculty members and teaching assistants on how to operate the new classroom technology. Faculty attended endless workshops about best practices for online and hybrid pedagogy. The registrar's office worked around the clock to manage our in-person enrollment, moving around classes and switching some partly online to ensure that our halls and our classrooms would allow for physical distancing. We instituted strict safety protocols, daily health screening, mask requirements, changes to the physical buildings and infrastructure, to name just a few. We invested in rapid COVID-19 testing kits and entered into a working partnership with the Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences, where any member of our campus community can receive a free COVID test with results in about 30 minutes. With the plan in place, we prepared for opening day, and we crossed our fingers and our toes that we could make it work. And we did. Classes started on August 24th with 211 new students, 189 in the JD class, plus 23 graduate students joining our returning students. The new class is the biggest, most well-credentialed, and most diverse class we have had in years. Our upward trajectory continues. Opening day brought with it the usual first day jitters and excitement, but this first day was also very different, featuring daily health checks, mask wearing, COVID-19 testing, classes in the gym, outdoor tents for eating and meeting, food trucks outside our building, and students from across the country and around the world, as far as South Korea and China. Imagine that time distance, the time zones, attending classes simultaneously with those students physically in our classrooms. Our incredible professors, most appearing in person, some teaching remotely, are making it work, ensuring both in-person and remote students are engaged and engaging in an excellent legal education. Professor Pat Rahan describes her experience teaching contracts as follows. I'm going to read her quote. First, we meet in the gym. As I look around the room immediately before class, I cannot help but remember the old Halloween parties and the more recent trick-or-treat street celebrations, the faculty-student dodgeball and volleyball tournaments, which in my recollection, the faculty always won, and meeting Sandra Day O'Connor under one of the basketball hoops. Now I stand in my mask, facing 50-odd masked students seated at socially distanced tables. Behind me is a large screen on which another dozen or so participate remotely. As Dorothy says in The Wizard of Oz, Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. And yet the hairy hand is the hairy hand. Lady Duff Gordon is still up to her mischief. A man writes a contract to sell his land on the back of a bar tab, and the mailbox rule confuses. Students are engaged, determined, creative, and confused as ever. And even though we're all masked, there are directional tapes all over the beautiful building. This always has been and always will remain to me a magical place. I have to agree with Professor Rahan. And I will tell you, it is such a joy, an overwhelming joy, to be back on campus with those who are able to be here. On my first day back, I ran into a student whom I met virtually during the lockdown. She got teary-eyed, triggering me. She was overwhelmed and grateful to be able to leave her apartment and return home to Albany Law School. It hasn't all been easy or glitch-free. The technology isn't as reliable as we had hoped. I will confess, we have a plan B today. We are operating with a technological workaround. So there are challenges. Teaching live and remote students at the same time is challenging. We have had 2 positive COVID cases since classes started, and we've had unexpected quarantines. But for now, the plan is working. We are using care and caution to keep each other safe and meet our student needs and stay connected. This is a fragile experiment. Every day that we are together in person feels like a gift, a win. Of course, things could change at any time. Like colleges and universities across the nation, we might need to pivot to fully online learning and teaching. We know that, and we are ready to adjust as needed. Through all of it, from the early days of the pandemic, we made a commitment to communicate regularly and openly with our community. Many of you have seen our mailings. Some of you attended our alumni town hall, and you're all here. What you might not know is that Deans Rosemary Queenan, Connie Mayer, and I held daily town halls for students, faculty, and staff during the first 3 months of the pandemic, even on weekends. The daily check-ins allowed us to have candid conversations about changing policies, meeting student needs, identifying struggles, confronting emergencies, and dealing with personal and family losses and illnesses. We continued the town halls on Tuesdays and Thursdays throughout the summer, when our students and faculty normally scatter. In the regular forums, we found a key tool for maintaining connections, preventing isolation, and weathering challenges. We even had some very special moments with some pop-in visitors. Dick Parsons, Mayor Kathy Shan came in, former Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack, and our students got to have these really intimate conversations with these Albany Law All-Stars. It was just terrific. Kieran Murphy, president of the 2020 graduating class, said that the town halls quote, made this transition a lot smoother. Knowing that the entire law school community is on the same page makes this entire thing more digestible. Karen happens to be among those most directly and negatively affected by the pandemic, a group that could really use your well wishes. The cohort of graduates that were preparing to take the bar exam in July 2020 and are still preparing now for an online bar exam in October. Now, most of you are alums, some of you are students, but to our alumni, you remember the stress of bar prep, right? How ready were you at the end of that 10 weeks of study to get on with your life and get to work? I remember it well. These grads had the goalposts moved twice and had that study period stretched out for months and months. You can imagine the stress, the financial fallout of losing income for 2 months and living with such uncertainty about something as critical as the bar exam. It's an undue burden. We are doing what we can to support these hardworking graduates. We expect about 50 of them to take the online bar exam right on our campus. Others will take the exam at their homes. These graduates have tremendous grit and talent. I've seen it firsthand, and we're all rooting for them. There are struggles, but there's also been growth, including new initiatives that make an impact. Let me give 3 examples. For one, Albany Law School partnered with the Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York to form the COVID Response Corps. Through the COVID Response Corps, 36 students were matched with legal aid attorneys to provide legal services to people affected by the pandemic, our neighbors who are most in need, or to help with COVID-19 related legal research. Those in the Corps are making a difference. Here's just one case. One of the legal aid's clients was in a dispute with her landlord. She was unable to move out by the agreed upon date because of COVID-19 complications. That case required a significant amount of research to form a defense, work done by one of our students, Tegan Dolan. Tegan's supervising attorney, alumnus David Crossman, said, quote, Tegan was especially helpful with this client and did a lot of writing as far as what her options were. She helped work out details so that the client could recover her belongings and could potentially avoid any money judgment. The work of the Corps continues this fall. Students are working both virtually and in person to assist individuals with issues ranging from unemployment insurance benefits and personal bankruptcies to housing and health law matters. A second initiative launched during the pandemic is the Women's Leadership Initiative. Through this initiative, the law school is providing leadership training opportunities, organizing networking events, and developing a fellowship program. It is off to an impressive start. 250 alumni, students, faculty, and staff took part in the Women's Leadership Initiative Summer Series, which gave inside perspectives on topics such as representing business clients, starting a firm, diversifying the legal profession, and drafting transactional documents. This past Tuesday, as part of the reunion, I had the honor of moderating a Women's Leadership Initiative panel with Justice Joanne Winslow, Ambassador Bonnie Jenkins, and Maria Melendez, 3 incredible women who have forged a path for others in the law, breaking barriers throughout their careers. This was really an amazing panel in which we heard about the courage it takes to get into leadership and the benefits of acting on that courage. And it was so timely, particularly in the wake of the loss of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It was a really wonderful event. The third new fun initiative is entirely student-driven. The Albany Law Literary Circle brought together more than 70 members of our community, including about 30 alumni, in different reading circles, each discussing different kinds of books. These initiatives illustrate one silver lining of this unprecedented time, how technology allows us to connect and stay connected even when we're physically apart. And we'll stick with some of it even after the pandemic ends. Maintaining a strong community has never been more important for our well-being during the pandemic, yes, but also for staying together, learning together, and growing together when emotions are raw. Early in the spring semester, the law school's faculty and board of trustees together adopted a core values statement that includes, among other things, commitments to advance justice, to oppose discrimination and bigotry, and to support free expression and the robust open exchange of diverse ideas. Putting these values into practice before and during the pandemic, Professors Pat Rahan and Ted DiBarbieri started First Mondays, a series that provides a platform for informed and robust discussions of the legal issues underlying today's current and often contentious events. This series provided a framework for a rich discussion of everything from election law to the border wall and eminent domain, allowing our community to learn from one another as we grapple with the law's role in matters of societal interest. This ability to talk across differences and to work beside and learn from those with different perspectives is a hallmark of an Albany Law School education. It's something that has served us well when the law school, like the rest of the country, focused its attention on racism and racial justice. In response to the events of late spring and summer, we held powerful listening sessions with our students, faculty, and staff, during which beloved community members shared personal accounts of their experiences as people of color. They shared the sadness, anger, frustration, and anguish caused by racial violence and injustice. These sessions were painful and raw, and they made clear that many of our students want opportunities to engage deeply in this work. We responded. Albany Law School joined 40 other law schools to form the Legal Education Police Practices Consortium, a new entity that will provide experiential learning opportunities to Albany Law students. We have added and continue to add field placement opportunities for students to work on racial justice projects. The Government Law Center, which has long housed the Albany Community Police Review Board, brought in 5 students to research and to think through the board's recommendations to improving policing in our city. GLC Director, Professor Ava Ayers, is also serving on Albany's Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative, a task force that will issue recommendations to the state this April. Professors C.G. Dodds, Anthony Paul Farley, and Christian Sundquist have initiated an independent project that they call the Institute for Racial Justice Research and Advocacy. Their work includes filing an amicus brief in the U.S. Supreme Court, hosting an online repository of essential readings and scholarship, and various research projects that engage students. This work and our conversations will continue as we learn together and commit to providing opportunities to promote and improve the rule of law, defend the Constitution, and protect the most vulnerable throughout our society. Despite the challenges presented by 2020, Albany Law School has much to celebrate. Our employment rate is at 90% for the class of 2019, a significant threshold for job success after law school. It's the second time in the past 4 years that we've reached 90% employment, which speaks to the capabilities of our students and the confidence of the employers who hire them. Albany Law School remains among the nation's top law schools at preparing for students for careers in public service. In 2020, Pre-Law Magazine ranked us as number 3 in public defense and prosecution, number 4 in government, and number 12 in public interest. Our online graduate programs expanded into the fields of financial compliance and health law. Soon we expect to have a fully online master's, LLM, and certificate program in human resources law, leadership, and policy. And in March of 2020, Albany Law School earned full accreditation from the Middle States Commission on Higher Education, a critical step in our evolution into a graduate school for the study of law. This accreditation is an affirmation that all of our academic programs, including our online graduate programs, stand up to Middle States' high standards of excellence. You, our alumni, faculty, staff, and friends, also gave us reasons to celebrate. Through We Rise Together, the campaign for Albany Law School, you are supporting our students in profound ways, helping to fund programs that are innovative, that make an impact, and that open doors to the profession. To date, more than 2,000 people have given more than $28 million in gifts and commitments, $28 million. Campaign donors have endowed the Justice Center at Albany Law School and have started 9 endowed scholarship funds, a fund to support the Albany Law Review students, an innovation fund for legal education, the Women's Leadership Initiative, and an expanded wellness initiative. We're not done yet. We haven't reached our goal yet, and our needs are many, but we are stronger today, and we will be even stronger tomorrow. Thank you for your generosity. So that's a lot, and I'm winding up, but I want to talk about one of the things that inspired me the most this year, and that's you. The way that you rallied when our students had great needs. At the outset of the COVID-19 outbreak, when we were all in a tough place, all of you were in a tough place, living with so much uncertainty, we asked for donations specifically for the Helen Wilkinson Memorial Student Assistance Fund. You responded by giving $56,000 and counting, which has helped students with financial hardships. This fund has helped them buy groceries, pay rent and utilities, and meet other emergency expenses due to the crisis. Your donations have kept some of our students enrolled. That is a fact, and that is your impact. Your generosity will echo for generations to come. In the words of one of our students, quote, "I hope to one day pay this forward to a future Albany Law student." So to summarize, we can proudly claim that We Rise Together feels right for 2020. Albany Law does rise together. Our school, like our nation and our world, has faced unthinkable challenges. But through all of it, we have connected, pivoted, grown, and supported one another. We have good days and bad days, and I suspect that will continue. But whatever comes next, we are stronger and more tech savvy, more engaged, and ready to do whatever is needed to meet the challenges ahead. I've never been so proud to be a graduate of Albany Law School and to be your dean. Thank you for trusting me with this responsibility. And thank you, as always, for your continued support of Albany Law School. Now I am happy to take any questions. Please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Jeff, do we have any questions?
We do. We have some questions that have come in as you were speaking. First, I have to just say that we also have got some comments congratulating you and the law school for weathering these challenges during this difficult time. We do have a question about the Justice Center. Wondering if the Justice Center is operating during pandemic, and maybe if there's some examples of what's happened during this challenging moment.
Sure, yes, the Justice Center and our clinics have been renamed. They all are now housed in the Justice Center, thanks to the wonderful anonymous donation. And the Justice Center has been fully functional throughout. They did not miss a beat. They had to go remote in the spring when the courts went remote and the whole world went remote. But our faculty and our students continue to serve clients. The clinics in the Justice Center have been really busy. You can imagine, you think of what some of the clinics do. The family violence litigation clinic, sadly, family violence increased during lockdown. So that clinic, the students and the faculty member were incredibly busy representing clients. There were court appearances, virtual, now there's some in person, but fully back up and running. Our community and economic development clinic, which helps small businesses, you can imagine that, the enormous amount of work that is involved in representing small businesses right now. So everything from helping small businesses to get CARES funds to doing education meetings to get the word out to the community about resources that are available to small businesses, to representing the clients when they had issues with their leases or their employees and figuring out how to navigate the pandemic. Thank goodness for our Justice Center. It is serving people that really need to be served, and the faculty and students there are just absolutely fabulous.
So another question came in as you were talking. This one about the moot court program. Wondering about the moot court competitions, and are they still running despite the pandemic? So
moot court is so important, and it's so one of everyone's favorite parts of having been an Albany Law School student. So in the spring, we did have some cancellations of some moot court competitions, particularly the traveling ones. But I'm happy to say moot court is back up and running. I see notices about the client counseling competitions and negotiation competitions. We'll have the Gabrielli appellate advocacy competition. The moot court students are eager to compete. Even the traveling competitions where our teams go to different schools are happening. They're just happening via Zoom, like so much of our life. But the students get so much from that. And that it's one of those places where our alumni can really get engaged. And now that we're doing things electronically, some of you who are not in the Capital District might be able to judge a moot court competition from far away. And we'd love to have you do that if you're interested.
The next question comes from Rory, a German who's on the line, asking, has there been any long-term benefit to adopting technology to expand future course offerings and to leverage Albany Law School's brand? So a technology question.
Yeah, so with respect to the brand, I mean, I think that part of what we've seen with all the technology that we are now getting familiar with is we can bring more people into the conversation. And we've had events, and so the GLC, for example, does, they're called Anderson breakfasts. Traditionally, pre-COVID, the Anderson breakfasts were actually held in the state legislature, and there would be, good crowd, 50, 60, 70, maybe 100 people. We've had 250 people come to those. So all of the people that are coming to the educational events that we put on that are part of what we do are learning about Albany Law School and getting to sort of come in without having to leave home. With respect to opportunities for the future, absolutely. We now have classrooms that have this capacity to bring in remote speakers, remote students. We were sort of, for a long time, we had kind of dreamed about, what's the law school of the future look like? And we always envisioned lots of technology involved in the law school of the future, but we were putting it off for another time, deciding whether or not we should make that investment. Pandemic forced the issue. We had to invest pretty significantly in the technology to get these rooms ready, to get the gym up and running. But what it does is it allows us to really think differently about what works well in person, what works well remotely, and what works in this strange hybrid situation that we're operating in now. So I think it presents all kinds of opportunities for us.
That's great. We have someone who's thinking in advance, it looks like, wondering about the spring semester at Albany Law School and what are the plans for that?
Sure. So this is something we just committed to this week. we have had we have students, it's fascinating, right? We have students who are attending full-time Albany Law School from Texas and California, China, South Korea, and they want to know, do they have to come back? Or are they going to be able to be remote? And there's so much uncertainty about the state of the pandemic. So we made the decision, we got the approvals that we needed from our accreditors, and we will be continuing in the hybrid format so that students who need to be remote will be able to attend classes, and people who are attending classes in person will be able to continue to do that. We hope, as long as the public health situation allows.
We have a question from Jessica, and Jessica is asking, which is a bit of a softball question for you, Dean. Is the school still accepting donations to assist the students during the pandemic? And if so, how may we contribute? Thank you.
Oh, Jessica, you're the best. Yes, and our students have many needs. The pandemic has been really hard on them, and absolutely, I'm going to ask that someone put the link in the chat. We can make it very easy for you to donate to the Student Emergency Fund, and thank you for everyone. Every little bit helps, and we do have, as I said in my speech, we have students who are just so grateful they were able to stay in law school as a result of your donations. It makes a huge difference, so thank you.
Let's see, we just got one from Joe. Joe would like you to give us a little update on Albany Law School's affiliation with Suny Albany.
Great. So the affiliation has been kind of on autopilot for the last couple of years, is what I would say. It was a lot of work a few years ago, and I think I did my first town hall about affiliation, and it provides lots of benefits. We have a very robust pre-law program at UAlbany that has brought us some just absolutely fabulous students. We have faculty that are working collaboratively with UAlbany professors. So Professor Ray Brescia has a course with a professor at Suny Albany, and they bring students from different disciplines together, and they work on innovation and social change. So there are countless examples like that where we've just done exactly what we had hoped to do, which is expand opportunities for Albany Law students by having the resources of a research university, of a major research university. So it's a great partnership. It didn't, as some people feared, the state hasn't eaten us. There was concern about that at one point, right? That we would be swallowed whole. Not even close. We probably have some students that don't even know that we have an affiliation, and others who are very engaged with UAlbany. So it has been a very good partnership for us.
We don't have any other questions, so I'll just let the group and the attendees know that they can ask their question in the Q&A. We'll take a few more if there are. And of course, one comes in. Actually, let me see if we're going to try technology here, Dean, and see if this works here on this one. I'm going to try to go to Peter Crummy, and he's going to ask a question. If I can get this to work. And Judge Crummy, if your microphone is on, give me a minute, and we'll get you up to ask your question. I'm going to ask Ben and see if he's on there to see if he can't track down Peter there.
Nope, there he is.
There he is. All right.
Judge.
Judge, ask your question.
Right, he's muted. You gotta unmute him.
How are we doing?
There you go.
Dean, I wanted to ask, you have been going nonstop on behalf of our school since the day you touched down as our dean and president. How do you summon the strength and your continued strength on behalf of our school?
It's so some days it's easier than others. You know, it's a passion project for me. I love this law school, and our students are they're just incredible human beings who are they're driven to go do great things in the world. And on the hard days, and there are hard days, the thing that makes a difference for me is being with our students. And that was true during COVID when we did our daily town halls. It's true now that we're back in the building. All the students who are in the building know I wander around and I try to find them and talk. You know, I do my laps, and it's a chance for me to re-nourish myself by being with our students. And this summer, one of the things I did to re-nourish myself was actually to teach a class for the first time in a while. I taught a class on COVID law, and being with students in the classroom again was just fabulous. And so, you know, that's the thing that keeps me going. It's a thing that I think can motivate anyone, all of the alums on the call. And you know this, Judge Crummy, you've been here, you have children who are here, you know, fabulous. Come and spend time with our students. Come to one of our events that features a student, even if you're doing it via Zoom. It gives you faith that you know, we're moving forward in the world. These are hardworking, so smart, and just so engaged. They are magical. So thank you for that question. It's good to think about the things that give us strength.
Well, thank you for sharing yourself with us.
I think with Judge Crummy up, it's a good moment to say thank you to the National Alumni Association. And those of you who are on, please do what you can to be involved with the National Alumni Association. They do amazing events and programs, and they would love for you to be more involved. So you can check out our website on the alumni website at albanylaw.edu and check out all those details there. Dean Ouellette, we are all up to date on our Q&A. And so unless there's anything else you'd like to add.
So I will just say that I so wish we were all going down to the courtyard to raise a glass to one another, but we'll have to do that sort of virtually, and we can. Our next event is a TGIF virtual class meetup. So to all of you celebrating reunion, congratulations. Go to your next Zoom link and meet up with your classmates. I hope that you enjoy and stay connected. Keep coming back to the law school. It is a really very, very special place, and you make it special. So with that, thank you very much.
And we put the link to the meetups in TGIF in the chat, so you can take a look at, and we're gonna go right over very quickly. The passcode is reunion, and we'll see you there. Thank you very much, President and Dean Ouellette. And everyone, have a great evening.